It's kind of magic, isn't it? The fact that you can send a video, an email, or just a quick text message to someone on the other side of the planet, and it just shows up perfectly, instantly. It feels so simple. But behind all of that simplicity, there's this hidden architecture, a set of rules built by one incredible mind that basically makes our entire digital world possible. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that man and his world-changing idea. All right, let's just start with this one question. Think about the last text you sent. It flew through the air, it bounced off cell towers. It had to navigate this incredibly chaotic world just full of interference from, well, everything. A world of electronic noise. So how in the world did it get to the other end, completely intact, without a single letter getting scrambled? The answer comes from a theory that's over 70 years old. And the architect's name was Claude Shannon. Back in 1948, he published this paper, A Mathematical Theory of Communication. And look, it is no exaggeration to say that this paper is the starting pistol for the information age. It gave us the words, the math, the whole framework to understand what information even is, and more importantly, how to control it. He's even the guy who gave us the name for the most basic piece of all digital info, the bit. Now, before we get to his amazing solution, you have to appreciate the problem he was up against. Every single communication channel, whether it's an old copper wire, radio waves, or a beam of light in a fiber optic cable, is vulnerable to noise. Noise is the great enemy of information. It messes things up, it distorts the signal, it creates errors. So the huge challenge Shannon decided to take on was this. How do you send a message with perfect, 100% reliability through a channel that is, by its very nature, totally unreliable? To solve it, Shannon first had to define the system, and he did it with this beautifully simple model. He figured out that any kind of communication, literally anything, can be boiled down to these 5 parts. You've got a source that creates the message, an encoder that turns it into a signal you can send, the channel, which is the messy part where that signal has to fight through all the noise, a decoder to translate it all back, and finally the destination. This model works for everything, from you talking to a friend to a space probe sending data back from Mars. Okay, here it is. This is the absolute core of Shannon's genius. The idea that flipped everything we thought we knew completely on its head. To solve the problem of perfect communication, he realized you had to do something that sounds completely backwards. You have to totally ignore what the message means. So let that sink in. Shannon basically said that for an engineer trying to send a signal, the meaning of the message is completely, totally irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you're sending a love poem, a top-secret battle plan, or just a bunch of random gibberish. From a technical standpoint, the challenge is exactly the same. He split the problem of information, its statistics, how predictable it is, from the problem of meaning. His only focus was on getting it there in one piece. And to measure this stuff, he borrowed a concept from physics called entropy. Now, in information theory, entropy is basically a measure of surprise or uncertainty. So a message with really high entropy is super unpredictable, like a random jumble of letters. A message with low entropy is very predictable. Entropy tells you how much actual information is packed into that message. So if entropy is unpredictability, what's our secret weapon to fight back against noise? Well, it's the total opposite, redundancy. Redundancy is all the predictable structure inside a message, and we use it all the time without even thinking about it. For instance, in English, you just know that a U almost always follows a Q. So if you get a garbled message that says, "the quick brown fox," your brain can instantly fix the error because that redundancy is built right in. So just how much of this stuff is there? Well, Shannon actually did the math. He calculated that the English language is about 50% redundant. That's incredible. It means that roughly half of the letters we write or say aren't strictly necessary to get the information across. They're there as a kind of structural padding, making sure the message survives the journey. But these ideas weren't just for a dusty textbook. Oh no, these concepts were like mathematical dynamite that blew the doors wide open to the modern digital world. They really did spark a revolution. I mean, this guy's track record is just staggering. Even before his famous 1948 paper, his master's thesis showed how you could use Boolean logic to design electrical circuits. That single idea is the foundation of every digital computer ever made. Then, of course, the 48 paper gave us the absolute limits of communication, and he still wasn't finished. In 1949, he turned his sights on the world of secrets. See, before Shannon came along, cryptography was more of an art than a science. It was a collection of clever tricks and gut feelings. And then Shannon published his 1949 paper, Communication Theory of Secrecy Systems. And with that one paper, he transformed the entire field into a serious, rigorous science based on hard math. He just applied the same ideas of entropy and redundancy to the problem of keeping things secret. He basically built a brand new toolkit for code breakers and code makers with concepts we still rely on today. He gave us a mathematical definition for perfect secrecy, and then proved that a system called the one-time pad could actually achieve it. He gave us core design principles like diffusion and confusion. He basically laid the entire mathematical foundation for all modern secure communication. Okay, so let's bring all of this back to right now. It's easy to hear this stuff and think of it as just, a cool history lesson. But the thing is, it's not history. You are living, breathing, and communicating inside the world that Claude Shannon's theories made possible. Every single time your phone corrects a typo for you, every time you stream a movie without a single glitch, every time you buy something online and your payment is secure, you are seeing his theories at work. Things like error correction codes, data compression, network design, modern cryptography, it all flows directly from the mathematical framework he created. He didn't just predict the information age, he gave us the blueprint to build it. And in the end, that's his legacy. It's a title he earned not by just having one brilliant idea, but by building an entire field of science from scratch. A field whose rules are so fundamental to our lives that they've become invisible, just woven into the fabric of our connected world. So, as we wrap this up, here's one last thing to think about. Shannon uncovered this fundamental invisible principle about information, and it ended up defining an entire century. It really makes you wonder, what's the next undiscovered truth, the next invisible principle that's just out there right now, waiting for the next Claude Shannon to find it and build the world of tomorrow?